he said, but if you'll go to things like this and grab a hold of one thing, and just grab a hold of one thing and say, I'm going to incorporate that one thing in my prayer life, or I'm going to incorporate that one thing that I picked up today. Amen? So our prayer is that you've got that one thing at least that you can begin to use in your life today to energize your prayer life. So, brother, we appreciate you, and don't worry about the time. Finish the session.
All right. We're going to grab the last few on the list, and then I have one other thing that I felt I should cover this morning. Before we do that, I want to give you all are beginning to see how cool I am. I'm going to show the extent of my coolness here. Sometimes it's the one thing, like you said, that you take, and here's something that I have done for a while now that has really helped me in the stealing moments part of walking with God. And if you can see in the back there, these are 3x5 cards, and I'm so cool that they're all laminated, all right? I forgot my pocket protector this morning, but I'm okay. And what I have done is I have taken the days of the week, and I carry around in my pocket every day, so this is Tuesday, a 3x5 card that I have in my pocket. And on one side is the day, so it's really complicated here. But on the other side is what I'm going to be praying for as I steal moments throughout the day. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but I do have one that I carry with me every day, and these are people that don't know the Lord that I want to pray for every day. And so those are 7 names, although the 7th one's my cousins, because I have a lot of them that don't know the Lord. And so these are the 7 people I pray for. Sunday, I always pray for pastors. Monday, I pray for monthly supporters of our ministry, because that's part of how we make this so we can go anywhere kind of a situation. Tuesday, I pray for people that pour into my life, advisors, mentors, people like that. Wednesday, I pray for certain countries of the world that specifically, God, I just want to pray for during that time. Then Thursday, I pray for people that I'm investing in. So there's a list of names, people on my board, or people, young guys that I'm kind of mentoring. Friday, I pray for, it's kind of a random collection on Friday, because Friday's my day off, so I put fun people on there. People like, if you ever watch the show, Extreme Makeover Home Edition, Ty Pennington's on that list for Friday. Actually, I have a dog, and his name is Ty, with the purpose that if I ever think about it while I'm walking the dog or whatever, I pray for Ty Pennington. Because you use things like that to steal moments with God. Because sometimes I'll be at the gas pump and I'll put my hand in the pocket to get my wallet out or whatever and feel the 3x5 card, because some of these are pointy, and I should pray for these pastors that are on this list. And sometimes it's 30 seconds, but sometimes it expands into a whole conversation with God about those people, or it goes off track and God takes the conversation where He wants to sometimes, and we end up talking about different things. So it takes something little. Sometimes it's that simple to help you build your prayer life. Something practical like that. All right, we're going to fly through these ends here. I know we told, but I have one other thing that I want to cover from God's Word. So number 9 is singing. Now, I should not take a lot of time with this one because I can't sing. meditation was God's idea. Meditation, obviously, this is Psalms 1. This is something that God created. But I lived in Sri Lanka. There is a Buddhist culture, and I understand all this weird stuff out there. Bible. Here, let me give you the difference between meditation that the world offers and Christian meditation. Meditation that the devil inspires is you clear your mind of everything. Empty your mind, get rid of everything. When you are meditating on Scripture, you are bringing God into you. You're bringing God into your mind, into your heart. And you're rolling. The easiest way to explain this is you're rolling around Scripture in your head. I did this last night before, just as an example. I just took the Scripture that I had read in the morning. It happened to be the story of Abraham called to sacrifice his son. So that was what I did last night. I'm just using this as an example. And what you would do with that is, and what I did was, first of all, I pretended to, if I was in that story and I was one of the servants, and I imagined what it would have been like, because this is not study, that's another thing you learn that in a different seminar, but meditation is you're kind of getting yourself into the story. So I spent some time thinking about if I was one of the servants, what it would have been like to have Abraham and Isaac go up, and then them coming down. And what would it have been like to have been Isaac in that situation? As he's up there with his 100-year-old dad who's tying him up and about to kill him. I mean, what would that have been like? And, what was it like for Abraham each step as he walks up that mountain? What would he have felt? What would his emotions been? What would if he? I mean, it's not a clinical thing where you just kind of sometimes we come to God's Word or we've heard the stories before. What were they feeling? Because we know from Scripture, and I'm not going to. But this is just the passage that happened to fall through. And we know from Scripture that Abraham really thought he was going to kill Isaac. Because it says in Hebrews that he assumed that God could raise him from the dead. So he assumed that he was going to go. What would have that been like? What would that his emotion and what he would have felt, and how? And then when you think about that, so then now you're thinking on that, you're like, well, when God calls me to do something, and it seems really, really difficult, is it really at the level that Abraham, whatever I'm going through, whatever I'm called to do, is it really at that level? And yet, Abraham was blessed. God provided for Abraham. He showed himself as provision for Abraham because he was obedient. Are we willing to be obedient? And I just showed you an example. Now you're seeing a new truth about Scripture. You're just seeing a new truth for yourself. So you can do this with the Psalms. You just think about a passage. You go through any of the stories. Since I'm not taking a lot of time with it, you can take the stories from the Gospels. Imagine there are different people in the story, or you just think of a phrase throughout the course of a day. That's one way to do it. One phrase of Scripture, just kind of let it roll around in your head. That's some aspects of how you use meditation, and it leads us naturally to the next section, which is listening. Number 11 is listening. And here is the verse I'm using, and you could read the whole psalm this afternoon. Psalm 29, verse 4, it says, "The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is majestic." I've kind of already talked about this, the power that happens when God speaks to us. I really believe this, too many Christians are missing out on the joy of following Jesus. Yeah. The joy of listening to Him and going on this journey that doesn't always make sense. And being willing to say, God, assignment is simply to go across to your neighbor and bring him some cookies. But sometimes it is sending a note of encouragement to somebody. I mean, it's not always, although sometimes it is, and maybe in this room there would be someone who, you listen to God, God's going to send you to Africa, but for many of us, it's just as scary to walk across to our neighbor and give them cookies, right? As it is to, and during that time you're saying, you're giving God space. Because why, I believe the reason most of us don't hear from God as much as we could is because we don't give him space to. I know that for myself. The more time I give for listening, the more he speaks. Isn't that ironic? You know what I mean? And he might give you a word of encouragement. And this happens to me all the time. I'll go on to the next one. But I will allow things people to come into my heart. And I'll use this as an example. Facebook, I use that for the purpose of letting God speak to me. That's not the only reason I put dumb things out there like everyone else does, but I'll go to my, sometime during my day, and part of it God allows me to, that's part of my job, but I go to my Facebook page and I will just kind of scroll through the updates. And someone, as I'm scrolling through it, there's just a small little check inside of me that says, this person needs prayer. And they may be talking about, where they had lunch that day. That's not, it's not in there clearly. Ooh, I need prayer. It's just something as I'm scrolling through. I'll take a few moments and pray for them. I was doing that this week, and a pastor, a friend of mine, we're not close. I met him at a conference that both of us were speaking at. And this week I took a few moments and prayed for him. And I sent him a note saying something along the lines of, I pray for you today and all the exciting things that God has for you, something along that line. He writes back to me and says, thanks for the prayer. I'm just transitioning ministry positions. And the new things are happening. And you want to talk and call. Now, you may not have that every day, but that's when we give space, God can use us in ways that we wouldn't otherwise. And then we have listened for 5 minutes, and then we end with praise. We begin and end with praise. And now you're praising God. Probably, if you've done this for maybe you did 2.5 minutes, or you've done it for 5 minutes each, and you've prayed for now, you're probably going to be thanking God for and praising God for different things. Because you're going to be coming out of this time with God, and you will just begin to praise him for the things that he's given you for the day. The verse that I put there, though, is 2 Chronicles 20:22. As they begin to sing and praise, the Lord set ambushes. I like that because you're about to enter your day. And you have just began to praise him again. And who knows what God is going to do in your day. How he's going to ambush the enemy so that wouldn't otherwise happen. As you go. Now, I want to finish this morning with the omnipresence of God. The omnipresence of God it means that God is always present. And that is true. The earth is filled with the glory of the Lord. I mean, there is a truth that God is present everywhere. Yet, it's easy to go through our day, to go through our lives, and miss the reality of God. You think about it, like Jacob, and the story where he runs from his brother, and he falls asleep. If you remember the story, all of a sudden, this ladder is, you remember the ladder? And the angel's going up and down, and he wakes up, and he says something. God was here, and I was unaware. God was there, but he was unaware. Later, Elisha will be taking off this foreign king because he keeps prophesying what's going to happen before it happens, and the king gets mad, right? I mean, there's this whole deal. He keeps telling the war strategies, and so the king gets mad, and so he goes to the city where Elisha is and surrounds it. And it says that the prophet's servant gets up in the morning to go get some coffee. No, that's not in your Bible, but basically he's going and he looks and spills coffee over himself because there's this army around to get Elisha. Imagine waking up in the morning and your house is surrounded by people to get you. That's not a good way to wake up in the morning. But Elisha then says, there's more with us than with them. And then he prays, open his eyes that he might see. And all of a sudden, the servant sees the armies of God all around. Now, they were there beforehand. He just didn't see it. Jesus is walking along the road. The two disciples are walking along the road to Emmaus after the resurrection. Remember that story? And Jesus comes walking up. And as Jesus comes and he's talking to them there, and then they go to the house and they're eating the food. And it says that when they prayed, their eyes were open. And they said, didn't our hearts burn within us? Why? Because Jesus was there and they were unaware. It's easy for us in our lives to do the same thing. That's why the prophets often told them to wake up. Because their eyes were not open. I'm going to want us very quickly. I'm going to go to 3 different encounters. We're going to end this morning with these 3 people's encounters with God. And these 3, what I want you to do, I am a parent of a 5-year-old in kindergarten, and they have a vivid imagination, and they have time where they get to do this. You all get to be kindergartners for the morning, all right? You get to leave here feeling younger. And I want you just to imagine, kind of like we were talking, meditate. I want you to imagine that you are these individuals and that you are standing where they are and seeing what they see and experiencing what they are experiencing. This is a picture of the presence of God. First one's in Isaiah chapter 6. In the year the king Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated on a throne. Imagine you're seeing the Lord seated on a throne, high and exalted, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Imagine it's in this room. And you're seeing the throne, and you're seeing the robe of his presence filling this room. And above him were seraphs. Each had 6 wings. Again, this is not a technical reading here. We're not dissecting it. So just try and picture it. Above him were seraphs. is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. At the sound of their voices, the doorpost and threshold shook. Can you feel it? The threshold, the whole place is shaking from the sound of their voice. And the temple was filled with smoke. So you can smell it too. Woe is me, for I cry. I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. Now we jump to the second one that's found in Ezekiel chapter 1. Now again, I don't want you to, if you're Bible scholars, this is not the time to dissect this. This is time to think about what Ezekiel was experiencing in this moment. In the third year, in the fourth month, on the 5th day, while I was by the Kibar River, the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. This is a little trick here, though. As I go through these next two, I want you to see if you can find any similarities between the three. All right, you're detectives along with 5-year-olds. This is cool. All right, so the heavens were opened. I saw visions of God. On the 5th of the month, it was the 5th year of the exile of King Jehoiakim. The word of the Lord came to Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Uzziah, by the Kibar River in the land of the Babylonians. The hand of the Lord was upon me. I'll just say this. He was basically in a concentration camp. All right? So wherever you are, right, you got it better than Ezekiel does right now, okay? He's in a concentration camp. And it says, I looked, and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north. An immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. Can you picture a windstorm coming towards us and the flashing lightning going all around? Can you picture the light that it must have been? The brilliant light, it says. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal. Can you picture glowing metal? What does glowing metal look like? And then in the fire was what looked like 4 living creatures. In appearance, their form was that of a man, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight. Their feet were like those of a calf, and they gleamed like burnished bronze. So it's bright. How bright is this picture? And then I'm going to jump down to verse 15. As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with his 4 faces. This was the appearance and the structure of the wheel. It sparkled like crystallite, and all the 4 looked alike. Each had the appearance, each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in any of one of the 4 directions they faced. The wheel did not turn as the creatures went. Now catch this, their rims were high and awesome. Now you're the creator of this picture in your mind. How big do these wheels need to be in order for you to say that they are high and awesome? How big of a picture, a wheel, does it need to be for you to think, that is high and awesome? So there's these living creatures that are obviously huge because they're the first thing he sees, and they're in this windstorm, and the wind's going, lightning's going back and forth amongst them, and then there's these wheels that, according to you, are high and awesome. How big are these wheels? When the living creatures moved, the wheels moved beside them, and when the living creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the Spirit would go, they would go, and the wheels would rise along with them. Then we'll jump down to verse 22. Spread above the heads of the living creatures. So we got the wheels, we got the living creatures, and then above the living creatures it says, the living creatures was that what looked like an expanse, sparkling like ice and awesome. Again, it's awesome, this ice that's above there. Now I'm from Minnesota, we understand ice. But how big, this big expanse above there, the wheels and the creatures, and then there's this huge expanse, moved, I heard the sound of the wings, like the roar of rushing waters, like the voice of the Almighty, like the tumult of an army. When they stood still, they lowered their wings. So that hear the noise of these wings as they go, the rushing water, the tumult of an army. Then there came a voice from above the expanse. So above this huge expanse, there stood a voice came, and above the expanse of their head was what looked like a throne. The throne was of sapphire. Sapphire, I know, having a wife, I know is a transparent blue. Imagine a transparent blue throne, or green, and all this light is reflecting off the ice and reflecting off of the throne. And high above the throne was what was like a man. I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like glowing metal, as if full of fire. And that from there down, he looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him, like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds. On a rainy day was the radiance all around him. So around just look around that throne, and all the way around the throne is this radiance like a rainbow. When this was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. When I saw it, I fell face down, and I heard the voice of one speaking. Finally, one last picture for you. This is from Revelation chapter 4. And see if you can tie these all together now in your mind. After this, I looked, and there before me was a door standing open in heaven. Let me just take long enough to say that he says a door standing before me. So his perspective is different than Ezekiel. Ezekiel's looking up. John, the Revelator, is looking straight. That can affect the difference of how you see something. All right? And the voice I heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this." At once I was in the Spirit, and there before me was a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. And the one who sat there had the appearance of jasper and carnelian. A rainbow, I remember this, a rainbow resembling an emerald encircled the throne. Surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and seated on them were 24 elders. They were dressed in white and had crowns of gold on their heads. From the throne came flashes of lightning, rumblings, and peals of thunder. Before the throne, 7 lamps were blazing. These are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. Now again, if you're looking up, an expanse might look one way, but if you're looking straight, it might look like a sea of glass. In the center, around the throne, were 4 living creatures. Wait a second! I know them! I've seen them before! And they were covered with eyes. Yes, I remember these eyes. And in the front and the back. The living creature was like an ox. The second was like a lion. The first was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third was like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. Each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings. We know that. And they were covered with eyes all around, even under their wings. Day and night, they never stopped saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty, who was and is to come." Whenever the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to him who sits on the throne and who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before him who sits on the throne and worship him who lives forever and ever. They lay their crowns before him and say, "You are worthy, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power. For you created all things, and by your will they were created and have their being." I want you to catch the verse there, though. It says, day and night, they never stop saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty." We had heard this already in Isaiah chapter 6. They were calling, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty." And still in Revelation 4, they are saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord is the Lord